Welcome to another episode of the Catholic Libertarian Movie Club. This is the final episode where I cover Star Wars. There might be a bonus episode, but I'm still working the details on that guest. We're going to talk about the sequel trilogy because we have to. But we're not gonna shit on it. We're gonna be respectful and we're gonna be kind and look for only the positives and maybe only take 1 or 2 part thoughts that Ryan's onto. So today to join me in that task is the other Caleb. So Caleb, how you doing?
How's it going, man? Really appreciate you having me on here. This is my first podcast, so been trying to get on one for a little while. Saw your tweet that one day. I was like, here we go. I volunteer as tribute.
That's actually what I wanted to do with this podcast. I wanted to get a lot of I don't want to get I'm happy to have big names because I get something that's fun, but I also want a podcast for other people who want to get into podcasting to go on. And so I'm trying to do that. People get no one watches this. You might get 12 views, so it's a good practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have the same first name, so it's a natural fit.
Have to. If I see anyone on Twitter named Caleb, I have to follow them. It's just it's the thing.
Unless they spell it with a K, then you're like, nah, just delete your profile.
I'm out. I commented randomly. This girl was on Twitter. She said, if your man likes Joe Rogan, you should block him or dump him. And I commented saying, fellas, if your girl liked this post, you should dump her. And all these bitches just jumped in the comments thread. And this guy was like, he's right. As a Caleb, I have to defend him. It was a beautiful, yes.
It's the code, brother.
Mm-hmm. So, how excited were you when you first heard about making new Star Wars movies?
I grew up watching Star Wars ever since I was like 5 or 6. And then when did it get announced? 2012, 2011, around there?
Like that.
So, obviously there's a little bit of apprehension. You're like, oh man, these are my babies. They're growing up. Please don't ruin them. But I'm not going to lie. I was excited as hell. You love Star Wars. It's your childhood being reborn. How can you not be excited?
Absolutely. I had a countdown on my phone doing up for it. I had the Kylo Ren birthday mugs. I had anything Kylo Ren. I was like, this, I don't know why, but this is my dude now. My dude. I got the lightsaber.
Oh, heck yeah.
My dude. And I gotta say, first episode did not disappoint. Kylo Ren in the first episode was solid.
He was.
Seeing someone just cut a dude down and grab a blaster bow with the Force, you're like, this is the guy. This is a new Vader. It's gonna be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh. And then it just kind of, we'll get into that later. But yeah, even so, it came on kind of there was a phase there, I feel like, in movies where the evil guy would have some sort of voice distortion. So you had Mad Max, the main guy in that one had a little bit. Then you had Bane, obviously. And then it felt like for a while there was a 3 or 4 year gap where every bad guy had to have some sort of voice distortion. Yeah. And then Kylo Ren came in, and I thought it was solid. I heard mixed reviews from other people. Some people didn't like it as much. They're like, "Oh, this made me laugh the first time I heard it." I thought it was good. I liked it, but I agree with you. When I first saw it, I was like, Kylo Ren, this character's badass. I love him, and when he has his little temper tantrums, but still, he was a good character. I liked him.
Yeah. I want to comment because everyone makes fun of Kylo Ren for having temper tantrums, but he went to the dark side from Snoke and was never trained at all. Snoke just brought him over and was like, okay, anger is power. Good luck. And never really trained him in any other way. So imagine you're a brand new Sith acolyte and all you know is anger with strength. Of course you're going to lose your temper. You haven't been taught anything. And so I would defend Kylo Kylo in the first movie would get my defense in every avenue. But after that, I gotta step back a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you could justify his anger from how he departed from Luke's academy. I mean, you look up and your uncle's standing over you. Of course, you're going to have a lot of mixed emotions. I can't remember off the top of my head how old he was at that time. But yeah, you're going to have all that floating through your head. Yeah, and then somebody else picks you up and you're like, oh man, I have all this emotion built up with me with no guidance. Of course, you're going to use it like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just... people got so picky on Kylo Ren, and I even got so mad at people on the left. People who are very lefty when they reviewed politics, what reviewed movies, he's just a angry incel and blah blah blah. And the right was like, he's just a whiny little baby, and it's like, both of you shut the
fuck up. just let me enjoy the Force Awakens.
He grabbed. I made a comment on every complaint, he grabbed the blaster, but with the Force. How is that not the coolest shit you ever seen?
I know, and then leaves it there for a while after he's walking away. There's some part of his mind still focused on that.
So cool. Just an awesome... Oh,
So okay, sidebar real quick. Who's your favorite Jedi out of the movies? Disregard
oh,
the books.
I am at a. Kid Fist. I can't do this two. I have to do top three. It goes Obi-Wan, Kid Fisto, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Mine
Qui-Gon
was always
normally. What's one?
mine was always Mace Windu. I just
I have
loved him.
I have shit on Mace Windu so hard this series.
What?
I have gone
Oh my
after
gosh.
Mace, and he is a cool character, but my whole argument during the prequels was there's really no good guys. Everyone in the prequels plays their role and never questions anything. Like
Mhm.
the Republic gets it. The Jedi and the Republic get an army out of nowhere. Bred never to disobey orders and only follow orders, and no one has any moral questions about it. And the only time they deviate from the plan Palpatine has set is in Mace Windu goes and attacks him. And in doing so,
Mhm.
instead of trying to take him alive and just killing him, he spurs Anakin's descent to the dark side. So only time someone breaks from the path Palpatine laid for them, it makes it easier for him. And so it's like Mace Windu's arrogance really did like hammer home Anakin's fall to the dark side.
Yeah. So I agree. I mean, you bring up some good points there. So which part of the fence do you fall on? The Sidious let him win to allow Anakin to walk in and see that scene, or Mace Windu actually beat him in the lightsaber fight?
I am so torn on that one because on one hand, Palpatine is definitely stronger in the Force, without a doubt. I don't think he's strong with a lightsaber. Mace Windu is one of the probably the greatest lightsaber duelists in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so
what
it's
was
like
Form 7? I can't remember how it's
Form 7,
pronounced.
yeah.
It starts with a
one
V.
that was
Yeah.
like very close to the dark side.
Yep.
His biggest complaint about the Clone Wars, we never saw Mace Windu fight Count Dooku. We never seen it.
Oh my gosh.
How cool would that have been?
Awesome.
Like Count Dooku, the duelist, just barely dodges it, Mace Windu just waves it out on him. That would have been the coolest. We never saw it. We never had this. Not one interaction between those characters.
And you have two dynamite actors going at it. I mean, that just would have been. Oh yeah.
It would have been a really good scene, and it's just we never, even in the cartoon, they never do it. And it's like this: you took it. You said the two best duelists. You hype them up, and you never have them fight.
Mm-hmm.
Missed opportunity. I'm gonna lean towards Palpatine led him. At this point with Palpatine, I think he let everything happen. Like he is just that he's always in control, and so I think that even in that moment, I'm just gonna judge from the history of the character. He was probably in control there too.
Yeah, except for Jar Jar because he was in control the whole time.
No, yeah, Jar Jar. Who was it? My first guess, Gold Guy, was this. I think he's only brought up as like I'm just saying. Darth Jar Jar was in control of everything. He was the evil Sith Lord. And it's like
stop. We're going to stop right here.
The master of the drunken fist, Jar Jar Binks. So let's talk about some of the characters in the sequels. There was Poe, Rey, and Finn. I gotta say, I did not dislike Poe or Finn. I thought Poe and Finn were great. I think they could have been used a lot better in the movie. But those two, I think, were solid actors and solid characters.
Mm-hmm. I would say Poe was probably the most badass in The Force Awakens, kind of like Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And then the whole, oh my gosh, the chase scene and the Last Jedi and all that I think that kind of damaged his character a little bit just because of how the story was written. It really wasn't his fault. And then he kind of got used as comic relief in The Rise of Skywalker.
And they made his X-Wing look lame. And Force Awakens' X-Wing was black and orange. And the second one is white and orange. It looks so lame. He had the coolest looking X-Wing, and they just downgraded.
I know. And then he comes in when they're at the what's Maz's bar? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But when they all come in,
it's a map in Battlefront 2. You think I remembered it by now.
Yeah, but when they all come in and like Finn and Rey and they're all getting carried away by the stormtroopers, then Poe and the rest of the squadron come in. Like that was a badass scene. He's going around just blowing up TIE fighters left and right. So I think he
could drift. He drifted in space.
He Tokyo drifted in space.
It was awesome. That's a good. In the comic books, you find out that there was a tree in the Clone Wars. There was a tree everyone trained by. And it was a force-sensitive tree for some odd reason. And the Empire tried to burn it, and Luke and Poe's parents were the ones that got the last seedling out. And so Poe was raised next to a force-sensitive tree. That's what they say he had like Jedi-like reflexes without being a Jedi.
Okay.
Kind of cool.
Gotcha. So did you ever hear that about Finn as well? That he was supposed to be a force wielder, and
I
then
see they're
they
gonna
like,
do that. I think if they do continue these movies, Finn's like it's that one. I have a feeling that seemed like a forced setup, you know.
mhm.
Like and he keep wanting to like talked away, and everyone's like, he's gonna talk about his feelings for her. I'm like, I think he's gonna still like ask a question about the force and try to figure out if he's got something. I think if they continue the series, they're gonna do Finn and Ray training Arc.
Yeah, if the actor wants to stay around with it, because I think he's got a bad taste in his mouth right now from how they treated him.
Yeah, I didn't really. I got poor John Boyega. I mean, he is a solid actor.
Hmm.
He was super hyped to be in Star Wars, huge Star Wars fan, and he was the poster guy for Episode 7, and then he was thrown away.
Yeah, he was the first face you see in the trailer.
Exactly. And he's on the poster with a lightsaber, and it's like he's the Jedi, and then nope, gone. They couldn't even give him he did nothing in episode 9, and the only thing cool he was going to do in episode 8 was have a cool death scene where he sacrificed himself, and then that got ruined by Rose.
Rose. Oh gosh. We
Wanna
promised
say
we
it.
weren't going to shoot. We promised we weren't going to crap on these movies, but
Wanna say
I'm tempted.
Rose, yeah. The Last Jedi had some scenes that I'm like, I like what they're doing. And I like here's my view. Here's my view of The Last Jedi. In the context of the trilogy, it's ass. If The Last Jedi was the theme the trilogy's kept, it would be fine.
Hmm.
Like I think they couldn't stick to a theme. And if they stuck to the theme of like Luke. Okay, so I want to say what I hate about Luke, what happened, and what I did like about Luke's character, but they could have made better.
Hmm.
Luke saying the Jedi needed to end because of the hubris, awesome. Luke becoming a crotchety old man who didn't want to do anything but still did stuff, stupid as hell.
Hmm.
But they could have fixed it if they just said Luke gave up violence and refused to do any more violence, and then his force projection never swung a blade, only dodged and never killed anyone. So they could have had him be like giving up violence, sacrifice himself to save everybody, and still avoid violence. They could have had a cool like conclusion arc, but instead they just made him a grumpy old man who did nothing and then died.
And drank weird green space milk. Oh, it was just like they kept that scene, but they didn't keep the scene where he finds the little gold dice from Han Solo. Oh my goodness!
I hate that he had his blue lightsaber. His green lightsaber in episode 6 is super cool and awesome. And you don't see it. You see one green lightsaber in the entire new trilogy. And it's held by Luke in that Leia training scene with the deep fakes. And it's like, why couldn't he have his green lightsaber? You know, it's just be cool. But no, to give him a blue one on a blue background, and so you can even really see it somewhat. And
it was so when you go back and watch The Last Jedi and he comes to the rescue there at the end, it's so obvious it's not him, but I fell for it completely when I was in the theater that it was actually him. The fact that he looked younger, he wasn't leaving a footprint. His lightsaber that Rey took, what he had on him, it was like all the clues were right there, and we just, or at least I did.
We got too hyped to see Luke in action.
Yes.
And what really bugged me is that all the AT shooting at Luke, and he just wipes it off. And it's like, okay, that only worked because he wasn't there. But we saw Vader absorb the blaster bolt with the Force in episode 5. So we could have easily seen Luke do the same thing on a bigger scale to show his power level and how much he increased in strength compared to Vader. But instead, he take a weird outward, like, well, he's not really there. It's like you could have really showcased his power, and he could have, if he did go to that planet, he could have put his lightsaber up like this and did the whole Ben Kenobi death scene. They could have done this in a really cool way where he's super powerful, and so is the sacrifice with like Ben Kenobi, and they just ruined. My favorite fictional character of all time was Luke Skywalker, and these new movies but I do enjoy them. They ruined his character arc.
They did.
It's.
And then they disrespect the name by putting it in the title of the last movie.
And then Ray takes it. That piece of.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Have you seen the meme where it's like, where she at the end she's like, "I'm Ray. Ray who?" Then it cuts to Grievous, and it's like Ray Shields.
That'd be better, honestly. I would accept that. Honestly, like I think he's just taking the name Palpatine because undoing his wrong and like saying, no, he doesn't get to define who I am. I get to define who I am, so I'm going to take the name and define it myself. That's a cool kind of like a side cut off. Do you ever watch Daredevil, the TV show on Netflix? Okay, so it's really good. And in the final scene of season 3, I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. Kingpin wants Daredevil to kill him, like every villain wants a hero to do. And you think, you know what? Probably should.
Oh my god, a Daredevil. Oh, yes. I've seen Daredevil.
Okay. The Kingpin wants him to die. Wants Daredevil to kill him, and Daredevil says, "No, you don't get to define who I am." That is the best reason I've ever seen a hero give for not killing. And that not letting your villains define you is a powerful story and a powerful message. And they could have easily had Way define herself and not let Palpatine, her family namesake, bring her down. She gets to define who she is. That could have been a really powerful message. And they just didn't go with it. They just, nope, cast it off. It's over.
They did it. Well, they do that in the same with Avatar: The Last Airbender, when Aang's trying to figure out how to, fight Fire Lord Ozai without killing him. And he doesn't come out and say that, I'm not gonna kill you, but he takes away his power. He finds another way to do it.
Does he know Dave Filoni, the guy who did the Clone Wars TV, also did Last Airbender?
I did not know that.
Yep, he was working on Last Airbender when George Lucas called him in to ask for him to come in for the interview process for the Clone Wars.
Interesting.
He's worked on some solid stuff. He went from Avatar, the Clone Wars to Mandalorian. That dude has a career. That is some solid work.
So I like The Mandalorian a lot more than I thought I would.
Same.
It took a little while for me to get into it, probably like 3 or 4 episodes. And then I just started blowing through it at that point.
Yeah. I was a weekly with it. Like every week, I was like, when's the next episode? I need more. I love, like, all of the Disney's movies are so 50-50. Let me ask you, did you watch Han Solo, the Han Solo Star Wars story?
I did. And then as soon as I walked out of the theater, I completely forgot about it. That was my least favorite one out of this new era of Star Wars movies.
Oh, I put it above episodes 8 and 9.
Okay, where's Solo and where's Solo and where's Rogue One?
Oh, Rogue One's way above Solo.
Okay.
I mean,
we're good.
Rogue One is top 3 Star Wars films. It's like
absolutely.
episode 5, episode 3, Rogue One. Those are the top 3.
Yeah. I loved it, and it was like, because I wasn't expecting to like it. I was just like, it's a Star Wars movie, I'll go watch it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is amazing. It's not just like it's a good Star Wars movie; it's a good movie, period. So it has the best space scene in it.
My only problem with it is if I watch it, I have to watch episode 4 right after. Like I'll put it on, like I only got like 2 hours before. I gotta go to bed in a few hours for work tomorrow. I'll just watch this movie. I can stay up all night. Just keep going.
I haven't watched A New Hope, but that's probably the one that's been the longest since I've watched. I need to go back and watch that one again.
It's good. You rewatch it, you're just like, wow, they set up like you watch it and they kind of other films like, wow, that means that means that, they reference that. But you think of it and they put it out there, they were referencing nothing. They were just like the world building of that is insane.
Yeah, and it's the same with The Force Awakens. It was a good blank canvas. And then it set the stage for you could go a lot of different directions. And unfortunately, the direction they went after that was not what I would have wanted.
They went every direction. It's like they couldn't. Like Disney's biggest mistake was hiring 3 different directors and firing the 3rd one.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, why would you hire 3 directors for one trilogy? That's dumb.
I almost refuse to watch any more Rian Johnson movies because I'm still salty. Like I'm being that petty about it.
I'm kind of with you there. My family's watching Knives Out the night. Like, you want to watch them? Like, no, I refuse to watch Rian Johnson films.
I won't watch it.
I'm out.
Well, it's okay, so what are the big questions after Force Awakens? Who are Rey's parents? Nobody. Doesn't matter. Who is Snoke? He dead. Nobody. Doesn't matter. How powerful is Luke now? We don't know. He's dead. Doesn't matter. It's just all those unanswered questions you had after the Force Awakens. Nah, we're good. And it was just like, it was such a middle finger to me, I felt like.
Yeah. And I could have seen, like, if they kept Rey's, like, Rey being nobody, I actually like more than Rey having, like, my biggest problem with modern media is everything is about prophecy and chosen one. Like, you look at old media, they're just dudes or they're just people who have been thrown in circumstances and have to make the best of it. Modern media, it's all about prophecy and, like, chosen ones. Like, Anakin, chosen one. Doctor Who. The Doctor went from being this regular Gallifrey Time Lord who did awesome stuff to being like the reason they have all the powers to transform because it's from another dimension and was tested on for generations. And like, apparently had 89 transformations before he went to the first Doctor. Again, prophecy, only he could do that. It's so many movies take things away from this. Like, it's not about like, movies used to be. Look at Alien. Ripley's just a person on a spaceship who got fucked over and had to deal with the situation. And now every form of media, even when we made it, we're like, well, Earth was made by the white people and the Prometheus. We have to go explore that. It's like, dude, heroes should be people thrown into circumstances who make the best of it. Not everyone is gonna have some giant like lineage preparing them for some chosen destiny. I dislike it. It really places a weird onus people to be like, well, I'm just a nobody. That's the point of movies. Modern media is absolute trash.
Yeah, I would throw Harry Potter into that too. Huge prophecy center on that one.
Yeah. And it didn't start that way either. Like, you read it, you're like, this is just a regular guy. Voldemort wants revenge. He just keeps throwing in an awkward situation. But then they were like, no, he needs a reason to be constantly going against Voldemort. And they gave him a prophecy. And it's like they didn't need the prophecy either. They could have easily been like, oh, well, Voldemort tried to kill him and the spell reflected he accidentally made a Horcrux. Like, that could have been the route they take, and that would have been fine. But throwing the prophecy thing, and that was like, again, you had to make a chosen one. You couldn't just have people deal with circumstances. It had to be predestined.
They almost were able to salvage it with making the prophecy, oh, is it Neville or is it Harry? But we all knew it wasn't Neville. So it was like, it was quite, why even throw it in there?
Yeah. I don't know where. I want to figure out why it's like that. Like, what was the first one that really caused this whole prophecy focus of characters, and find the person who did it and boycott them. Like, I don't want to support that individual anymore because it's like you've really taken it down. You really, the message of modern story is be born special. That's a terrible message.
Don't get there on your merits. You were predestined to be great, or you weren't. So we crapped on The Last Jedi for a little while. I wanted to take away probably my favorite part of that movie is right after Finn and the Codebreaker and Rose steal the ship, and Rose gives him the conductor, and Finn goes to confront him about it, and he's like, well, at least you're stealing from the good guys this time. And the Codebreaker goes over to the hologram. He's like, well, let's see who owns this ship. Oh, he makes his money selling weapons to the bad guys and the good guys. And he just, that scene is perfect for obviously for you and I, because we're like, yep, that's how arms dealing works. It's all a machine. It's all to make money. It's all to profit off of death. And it was just like, it was one little scene in there, but it was probably, I think it was my favorite scene out of all of it.
Oh yeah. I think it was a lot of people hated on that Canto Bight scene. And I didn't like a lot of it. I thought a lot of it was bad, but I think some of the message there, if it wasn't beat over the head, could have been a lot better. Like, that is the problem with so much of these modern movies. They have to nothing, subtlety doesn't exist anymore. Everything has to be beat over the head.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at episode 6 when Luke is being fighting Vader and thinking about going to the dark side. He has a shadow cast on his face.
Yes.
And it's like, that is a perfect scene. That's subtlety. And instead, nowadays, it's just like, there's no subtlety. There's nothing there.
Well, yeah, so a parallel for that would be in The Rise of Skywalker when Rey has that vision, and she's like completely evil in that vision, when she has the double-bladed and the fangs and everything. It's like, that's too over the top.
Yeah.
It's not the balanced shadow face. It's just boom right there.
Even in episode 5, when Luke took on Darth Vader in the dream vision, that revealed that it was Luke's face underneath, and he was scared of like becoming like Vader, and essence scared of becoming his own father unknowingly. That's a cool scene. And even if it's a little like the fact that it's a reveal later after the fight is impactful. Even if it's a cool little scene, it's like, this is awesome.
It's half the face.
Yes. And then they get to Evil Way for 5 seconds, has fangs for some.
It's so weird.
Why?
It's like the Bilbo scene out of the Fellowship of the Ring when he reaches for the ring and his face changes. You're like,
but that's a good scene.
Yeah. But it's like, it's just, what just happened?
Yeah.
That scene scared the hell out of me when I was little.
It still scares me. I know it's coming every single time, and I still flinch every single time.
I remember having a dream when I was little and seeing like that face on Bilbo, like walking into the corner of my dark room, and I was just like, "Oh God, this is how it ends."
How it is. Oh, so we covered Rey, we covered Luke, we covered Kylo, covered Poe and Finn. Overall, of these 3 Star Wars films, how do you rank them? Like,
So,
what do you
in the
recommend?
context of those three, which one would be my
Yes,
favorite?
and those three. Closed trilogy.
My favorite, so the one I enjoyed watching the most was The Rise of Skywalker because it just had, good battle. It had better lightsaber fights. It didn't have great lightsaber fights. You got to see a really cool battle scene at the end. I liked it when Sidious was on screen. I'm not gonna lie. Every time he was on screen, I was like, let's go, let's go. So I have a lot of complaints about The Rise of Skywalker, but that one would be number one. The number two, The Force Awakens, then The Last Jedi. I don't really have a desire to watch The Last Jedi anymore.
Yeah. I had to rewatch it for this episode. And I was like, even then, I'm like, I don't want to.
I know.
I don't want to.
I remember being bored in the movie theater during that one. And I love Star Wars, but towards like 2/3 of the way through, I'm like, can we wrap this up? I'm not into this anymore.
I have only wanted to leave the theater twice in my life. Once was in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. And it's Last Jedi.
Yeah. So
I've only left the theater once, and that was for it. I don't like horror films. And so okay. I sat down with all my friends, like, we're gonna watch it. It's gonna be the first horror film, it's gonna be great. The moment Pennywise ripped that kid's arm off, I got up and left. I went to the manager. I walked into like, hey, I'm a little bitch. Can I get a movie? He's like, American Assassin's playing, but it's halfway through. Like, that's good. I'll catch the end of that one.
Oh, dude, it is a good, like, it is scary. It is a horror movie, but it's a good movie. Those kid actors,
I don't like gore. I can't stand like blood and gore. And so seeing the arm ripped off, I was like, oh, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, especially off of a kid.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to get.
I would say the two movies I almost want to walk out of were The Last Jedi and then Justice League.
I don't blame you.
I was furious. And those two movies came out right back to back.
You better clarify. Walk out of Snyder Cut or walk out of Justice League?
Justice League.
Okay. We can continue the interview. Like, if you were going to say you wanted to walk out of Snyder Cut, I was like, this is over. I'm not.
Oh, no. I bought HBO Max just for that. I cleared my schedule. I was like 4 hours, no bathroom breaks. Here we go.
I used a vacation day from work. I boss, I had to explain it. Like, boss, I've been hyping this up to people and talking about it for years online, tweeting hashtag release of Snyder Cut. I got to be off of this. Yeah. And my internet went out that morning. I had to hotspot my phone to my computer and pray to God it worked. And it did. Thank God.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
It was good. Oh, man, it was a good. I finished it and immediately watched it again. I was like, I was going to do it again.
Oh, my goodness. Movie. So there was some Instagram accounts I follow that were like putting out the hashtag from day one. And I just remember watching over the years, people commenting like, give it up, you're a loser, give up this pipe dream. And then when it got announced, I remember them not like being all cocky about it, just being like, we did it. And it was just like, yes, we all came together and did this. I
went on my Facebook and posted, all you losers who said it wasn't going to happen. Fuck off. Yeah. God, I hope you don't watch it. Actually, I hope you don't watch it because I don't want to see ruining anything else.
Yeah, no shit. I don't know what's did you watch Suicide Squad, the new one?
I did.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good. I only had one complaint. Spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it. Skip ahead 10 seconds from now. They killed Polka Dot Man. That was my only complaint.
Oh, I know.
He was awesome.
So many. They killed so many people.
I was fine with the beginning wave. Like, you gotta get rid of Captain Boomerang, I guess, whatever. But killing Polka Dot Man, like, I didn't think he needed to die. He already killed Rick Flag. He already had the big death scene.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need to Polka Dot Man's death was killed for a joke, and that was just unnecessary.
Yeah, I was really impressed because I kind of went in there with medium to low expectations, and then John Cena carried a good chunk of that movie, I thought, and I loved it.
Sylvester Stallone is one of my favorite actors, and I was like, he's gonna be a dumb voice actor who doesn't really do anything in this movie. But nope, even his few lines, like fake mustache, was hilarious.
Yeah,
like that's Rocky saying fake mustache, the giant like sock god.
Do you know Sylvester's actually pretty short in real life?
Did not know that.
I think he's like 5'9". Wow. But he always just look like this massive bulk of a man.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's an absolute unit.
Oh yeah. Like I have the Rocky box set, and about every once I watch at least one Rocky film, for gym motivation. And every year I watch all of them. Like I might do a podcast series on Rocky just because I think the motivation in Rocky is incredible. The story of Rocky is incredible, and it is in my opinion, the quintessential American film.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, I think I've only seen the first one, and that was so long ago that I have to go back and rewatch them.
I think it won Best Film that year. Like I mean, I think Rocky won. Spencer Stallone wrote that in his Call by Homeless.
Yes, and
it's an incredible
didn't
story.
he sell his dog?
Yeah, and first thing he did when he got the money was buy his dog.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. That whole thing's crazy.
Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 are some of the best like sequel series. Like they are solid. Rocky 3, so and so, still really good. Rocky 4 is popcorn flick. It's a cartoonist film. Rocky 5 you can skip. Rocky Balboa, the one no one saw because he was like 60 years old and still boxing. One of his best movies ever. One of the best Spencer Stallone movies. Up there with Rambo. Like it's one of his best movies.
Okay.
And Creed, the Creed movies are phenomenal. So like, there's enough there. There's a lot there. There's almost as many Rocky films as Star Wars movies.
Oh wow, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I thought they cut off after 4.
Nope, wow. There are 6 Rocky films and 2 Creed films, and so it is. If you don't count all the spin-off movies they did, there are 8 Rocky movies and there are 9 Star Wars films, and so it's a lot of them, and they're good.
Yeah. Okay. I need to add those to my list then.
I think they're all on HBO Max.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So Star Wars can be gone on a tangent about everything else. No, one more tangent because whatever. Aragon. I saw the books. Some people say Aragon is just fantasy Star Wars, like it's a bad thing.
yeah, I know. Well, it's the stereotypical, hero's tale, but it's so good. And so I got to go on a monologue for a little bit. I mean, just to watch the progression of Christopher Poloni, he either starts or finishes the first book when he's 14, right? And you can tell it's a pretty basic book, but it's good for really good for a 14-year-old. Yeah. And then you get to read through the books and see his writing style develop as he gets older. Because like 14 to 25 is a bigger jump than like 35 to 45. So you just get to see his writing style develop. And I thought he nailed it with the final book and how, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but how he wins in the end. Like that was such a cool. I was worried it was going to be something.
Don't go too far because I am only halfway through the last book.
Okay.
I got it from a library like a year ago. I had to give it up. It hasn't gone back through yet, and so now I'm doing it again on Audible. And so every month I'm buying a new Audible book, and I'm getting the new book series, and I'm gonna complete it soon. But he's actually making more books. He's gonna return. He's gonna take his book on a new trilogy, and he's trying to get Disney Plus to pick it up for a TV show. Because given that god awful movie, that
the Skethers.
Oh. So, and what really sucks is the cast. I'm not gonna lie. The cast for Dursa, good pick. Braum is Jeremy Irons, solid pick.
Hell yeah!
Like, everyone else though. Come on.
Galbatorix. I don't. He's a good actor.
He had 2 lines. He's a good actor, but he had 2 lines. I
don't know if his style fit Galbatorix because he's a very serious character, and that actor, John how do you pronounce his last name? Malkovich. Yeah. He's got a comedy edge to him, so I don't know if that would have worked long term. But yeah, I hated that movie.
I saw it in the drive-thru, and my dad loved it, and still has it like a DVD copy, and still watches it every once in a while. And I'd be like, remember years ago, I was reading the book, and he put on the movie, and I'm like, "What are you doing? No, not in this house.
You do not disrespect me like that.
Here's the book. Go and read this and come back." He's like, "I don't read." It's like, get the Audible. It's like you're missing out.
I love my fantasy books. I'm always looking for new. I get stuck in the same. I like my knights, my dragons, my wizards, all this. I need to break away from that, but it's just that's what I love.
Aragon has my favorite dwarfs in any medium. Like any kind of media has the best dwarfs. Sorry, Tolkien, he's great, but Paolini's dwarfs are the best dwarfs you're ever going to read about.
They're so fleshed out, and you get to see a whole bunch of them versus, and again, I'm a huge Tolkien fan, but you get to see Gimli, and then you get to see the 12 or 13 in The Hobbit.
And they barely do anything.
Yeah, and you don't really know a whole lot about the rest of them, but you get to go to the dwarfs and you get to experience so much more.
Their religion, their structure, it's the way he describes their buildings, and the fact that the dwarfs weren't in the movies at all. Like,
Oh, I forgot about that.
yeah, the dwarfs are in the movie, and they're in the dwarven home, and they're in a cave, and they don't even bring up dwarfs. The dwarfs don't make any appearance.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
And I think the Urgles too are just like men with face
yep,
paint too, aren't they? Oh, that ugh.
humans, Razak, and this he's not an elf. They never say elf in the entire movie.
Oh my goodness. It's been so I watched that when it came out and I've not watched it since, so I've forgotten all these minor details.
I'm so no. I hate to ask you this, but if you're interested, I would love to do a podcast where we watch it and just shit on it the entire time. Like,
I would be down. I would.
that sounds like a fun time.
Yes.
We'll have to set that up. I'm booked for September. We'll have to try in October to set that up because that sounds like a really fun time. Just get some popcorn, just watch it, and just shit all over it because it's so bad.
We have to do an episode on Zahir sometime too.
Yes, definitely. The people, if you listen to this, you know, like watch Legend of Korra. I know it's not Aang. It was Sokka. Blah blah blah. It's good. Watch it.
I'm going to say something controversial, and I liked Legend of Korra more than I liked The Last Airbender.
Same.
Yes,
like, Airbender it's good. It's real good. Don't get me wrong, but the villains of like Avatar season 1 and 2 were kind of kiddie and so in this, man.
Yes.
Like very kiddie. Season 3 very mature and awesome. Legend of Korra continues from that maturity. It doesn't go kiddie again. It continues from the maturity, and the villains. I mean, let's look at this. Amon from the Equalist, communism, hardcore equality at gunpoint or bending point. Yeah. Tonal Lock, return to the spirit, kind of hippy dippy, but still evil. Zahir, an actual anarchist who kills government leaders, and in doing so brings about an authoritarian dictator of the Earth Kingdom, which covers this like Stalin, like rise of Stalin. You know, like, there is so much there, and people just write it off. It's like, no, there's so much depth to Legend of Korra.
Yes, and just like all the little things they did with even in like The Last Airbender when Zuko's visiting Iroh and you know like half his face is covered and the how they do the camera from one it looks like Zuko's in the cell at some points. They did so many neat things with that. But I agree, that's exactly it. What The Last Airbender was made for kids, and Legend of Korra was made for teenagers. And I think that's the biggest reason. I mean, somebody commits suicide in Legend of Korra in the first season.
Yeah, and it's a heavy show. Like you watch it, this is ridiculously good. Like Aang is like, I can't hurt him. Korra grabs that Zuds and puts his head inside a polar bear dog, and it's like, yeah, it's like she's awesome. And seeing her like Aang had to learn how to be violent towards the end, Korra had to learn how not to be violent. Like there's so much there. No, honestly, I point out this is a test of how bad the sequel trilogy is. Because we've talked more about Legend of Korra and Aragorn other media.
I know. Just like we said what we need to say. Well, let's just move on.
Let's move on. There's better things to watch, spend your time on. No, Legend of Korra, like they Paramount Studios with Nickelodeon is making a brand new like Avatar themed studios. Like they're just focusing on Avatar content. They have a new Avatar Last Airbender Award tabletop RPG game coming out. Like it's gonna be a full-fledged tabletop game in The Last Airbender. It's gonna have like 5 arrows. You're gonna do Roku, Kyoshi, 100 Year War, Aang, or Korra. And it's like that's gonna be a really cool game when it comes out. And they're working on a new TV show, I heard. And so it's like
the Netflix one.
Not just that one. The original creators are working on another series like after Korra.
Okay.
And so it's like there's gonna be anytime I get more Avatar, I'm excited because that's one of the best things.
We're gonna get that, and then we're gonna get the Lord of the Rings series on Amazon, which I'm excited for, but I'm still like, oh.
Yeah, given the track record we've had of reboots this last 10, 15 years, I want to watch it, but I'm not hopeful.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm worried they're gonna go too Game of Thronesy and make it too mature. Like one thing about tokens, like it covers adult themes of like good and evil, but anyone can watch it and learn from it. I don't want it to be something kids can't enjoy because the kids can learn a lot from Lord of the Rings, and they watch Lord of the Rings and they say, okay, this is great. You can't watch this extra series that explores the same good and evil themes, but also has all this other stuff in it. I don't think that's a good way to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because Lord of the Rings is about anybody. I mean, not super, super young if you don't want to expose that kind of violence, but still, they can watch on
the book. I mean, you can make The Hobbit to a good like I'd say 8 years old and on. You read the
Oh
Hobbit series,
yeah,
and they'd be
you can't
enjoying.
read Game of Thrones to an 8-year-old.
No, I tried to read Game of Thrones because of the story and lore, and it was good. I'm like, you know what? I could be reading Scott Hahn. I could be reading religious
Mhm.
books, my book source with them, instead I'm reading this trash. And
Yeah,
it's
I didn't finish them. I got 3 books in, and I was like, for one, I was lost because in the books they use like 3 different names for everybody. So like Ned Stark is Lord Stark, and one time he's Eddard, then the next time he's Ned. It's just like
yeah,
I can't keep track of all this. I'm
no,
done.
and I watched the show only because everyone else was watching it, and I needed to I wanted to see what's going on with Simon and Culture. I can't think of one memorable scene out of the Game of Thrones series.
Really?
I think back through it. I'm like, the only scene that actually stands out to me is the Battle of the Bastards. And that's about it. Besides that, the dragons are cool looking, but not memorable. The Night King is killed like a punk loser, and that's not memorable. Lord Stark is memorable only because he's played by Sean Bean. And Bob Baratheon is remembered because he's awesome and hilarious. But besides that, past the first season, nothing stands out.
Yep. And especially when a show ends crappy like that one did, you just kind of write off everything else and you forget the good stuff in the middle.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
Have you watched The Boys or Invincible on Amazon
Oh,
Prime?
I am getting the comic books for Invincible because I can't wait.
Okay.
I
Have
could
you watched
not
it
wait.
then?
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
Oh my gosh. I love both of those so much.
Amazon is making some solid TV superhero content. Like The Boys, ridiculously good.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get some guests to come on because I want to contrast The Boys with My Hero Academia, the anime.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Really good anime if you're into anime. But whereas everyone gets powers, and it's basically just like, well, how do we solve this? Well, let people open up superhero agencies, and the market will take its course. And so basically, it's a free market of superheroes. And The Boys is the same thing, but it's actually monopolized by government contracts. And so you can actually, and if you look at it and watch it, you can compare capitalism and cronyism. And so in contrast, I think there's a lot there to explore. And so I want to, the series would be, I would do one on Captain America Civil War. The debate was like, should superheroes be private or superheroes be public agents? And then you can say, well, here's what happens if you try to have the both and boys, and you actually have a free market in anime. And I was going to do a whole series on like the capitalism and the economics of superheroes.
Heck yeah, dude. That sounds awesome. Yeah,
I'm trying to get some guests for it, but trying to find there's a lot of anime and libertarian nerds, but finding ones who are willing to not, hide behind the anime screen.
That's such a lefty thing. Why would they do that?
Yeah, I know people who are anonymous, and I don't blame them for being anonymous. But at the end of the day, if people want to find, they can find you.
Oh yeah,
I mean, My location on Twitter is listed as your mom's house.
I saw that.
And I've had people be like, "Oh, people are like, man, I beat your ass you in front of me." Like, what is my location?
Gotcha.
But on a point like Game of Thrones, like when a show ends poorly, you write the whole thing off. And my evidence for this is people are still talking about Breaking Bad.
And it's do you think Breaking Bad ended poorly?
Yes.
I do too.
No. I think it ended. Breaking Bad ended somewhat poorly. El Camino perfected the ending. That's my standpoint.
Okay. Have you heard the rumors that the real ending to Breaking Bad got leaked a little bit before it released, so they had to do a quick rewrite, and then that's why I've heard that. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I never really fleshed it out, but it just felt like the bad guys at the end of Breaking Bad weren't who he was going against the whole show, so it didn't feel like there was a good buildup, and I didn't really feel satisfaction. Obviously, they did some horrible stuff to him, so that part felt good, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
I do agree. Like when Hank got killed by those random racist mobsters, you know, it's just like, who are these guys? We've been dealing with the cartels in Mexico this entire time, and then you write them off, and you bring in new guys, and we have no attachment to these characters, and they're just somehow these guys are better than the cartels that you set up as awesome. It felt like you have a bunch of racist rednecks out doing things the cartels couldn't do. It didn't feel believable.
Right. Yeah. They just show up at one point and they're like, all right, we're gonna wipe everybody out.
Yep. Yeah. But I think El Camino was a better ending. Like if you watch El Camino immediately after Breaking Bad, I think it makes it for a much better ending of the series.
It's so weird watching El Camino and like Todd. His face is like
Yeah.
his face is a little fatter because it's been a while, and then the guy that runs the garbage plate, the dump, he's like way older. So it's just like
Yeah.
it almost takes away a little bit of the believability, but you got to set that aside.
Yeah. El
Have you
Camino
watched?
is. Oh, go
Have
ahead.
you watched House of Cards?
I have not. I started it years ago, and I have not watched all of it yet.
Okay. That's one that I would put in the category of ended. Well, I can't say it ended badly because I didn't finish the last season. When Kevin Spacey, and that's it, Kevin
Yeah,
Spacey, that's a whole other thing.
saying.
But when he was, no longer on the show, I was like, I'll give it a chance. And then no.
Yeah. No. The Kevin Spacey, that whole review came out after Baby Driver. You ever see Baby Driver with Kevin
Tell me
Spacey?
bits and pieces of it.
One of the best stunt driving in any movie ever. Like it has. If you're into stunt driving, it's one. And if you're into soundtracks, timing the music, like I have a weird thing about. I love AMVs on YouTube. They time epic moments to the sound, and the entire movie is just that. It's one long, like perfect, for lack of a better word, orgasm. The entire time, and it's really good. But the entire time, Kevin's really referring to him as his baby, and it's this weird dude nobody knows who's quiet. And he refers to his baby, and he watches it now. And you're like, it feels weird.
Yeah,
It feels a little weird.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, it puts a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. So like, I don't know if I'm uncomfortable now because like they never really explained their relationship, and you're kind of like, I hope. I know it's not that, but given who the actor is, you can't not see it. You're like,
you can't not wonder.
Yeah, it's.
So I've seen some of like the stunt driving scenes broken down on it's like Stuntmen React.
Corridor Digital?
Corridor
Nice.
Pro, yep.
Great.
I like watching those in the CGI reactions.
Mhm.
It takes away it makes you have a real good eye for when you're watching movies and you're like, oh, I know how they did that now. Oh yeah, it's not real. You're like, oh crap, I just ruined it for myself.
I found out recently in Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock's arms were more often than not like props. Like they had people controlling the arms physically.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like
I think especially in like the hospital scene, you could really tell.
Yeah, that hospital scene's intense. People make fun of Spider-Man 2 for like the raindrops keep falling on my head, and it's like, but no, that hospital scene, that's an intense, like a horror-esque scene. And
well, Sam Raimi's a horror director by trade, isn't he?
I think he did Evil Dead with Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a good director. He's a solid director. He's doing Doctor Strange, the sequel, which I heard has like horror elements to it, and I'm like, I can't wait for that one. It's.
How are you excited for the new Spider-Man movie?
Dude, I have watched that trailer every day since it dropped. Like I am so Tobey Maguire and Doc Ock, Alfred Molina are my favorite like hero villain pair. Spider-Man's my favorite. Like I'm a DC fanboy. I love everything DC does, but Spider-Man's the one guy on Marvel who I actually care about. And so to see his Spider-Man movie, and all the rumors about like Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, it's like, okay, I can't not be pumped. And you throw Doctor Strange into it, who had one of my favorite Marvel films so far. Like, what's not to be excited about?
Yeah, I agree. I hope they pull it off good because there's so many directions there's a million directions they could go with this. Just please do it right. Because Tobey Maguire, oh man, that's my Spider-Man.
Same. I mean, people want to make fun of Spider-Man 3 too much, I think. But I think if you watch Spider-Man 3 and watch the ending scene between Harry and Peter, we know it's like, oh, he's my friend Pete. Like that, you can't watch him not get emotional because they've set it up for 3 movies. Like,
and his death, it does get you a little bit. It's not just oh, he's dead and then move on.
Yeah. So what's the actor's name for him? What's his name?
Oh, James Franco.
Yeah, I love James Franco. Like he's a really, really good actor. And when he does a movie where he's like really acting, like he's incredible. Mm-hmm. But he still goes and does Seth Rogen stoner flicks where he's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I love watching, like, this is a very serious actor who's just walking around in leopard print underwear, smoking a joint on time, and he's still hilarious. Like he's just a very versatile actor, and I enjoy watching his work.
Pineapple Express will always be a classic.
Mm-hmm. What was the
I didn't dislike Andrew Garfield. I never really felt an attachment to him.
I thought he was great as Peter. I thought he was great as Spider-Man and a terrible Peter Parker.
Yes, completely agree.
And it's like, and I can't like his character because the your girl you're into his dad had a dying wish to you not be near his daughter. And what's the immediate thing you do? The best promise is the one is meant to be broken. What kind of line is that, you piece of shit? He's a terrible person.
That one did have the heaviest scene. When Gwen dies in that one, oh my, that whole scene is, I'll tear up for that one.
I'm not gonna lie, I did too. Like, I don't like that movie, but that scene is they do it right. I just wish they actually saved it for like the third movie because it's so shoehorned in last minute.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch it on YouTube as it stands, really good. In the context of the film, you're like, why is this here? This is unnecessary.
And they completely botched. I don't know whether he's supposed to be the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin.
Yeah,
just like, oh my gosh, this is awful.
Have you played this PS4 Spider-Man game?
I haven't. I have been out of the gaming world since I was in high school. I was a big Gears of War, Halo, and a little bit of Call of Duty. But then, like when I started going to college, I was like, I don't know, I just put it off to the side and never went back to it. I love gaming. I would like to go back to it, but I know if I start gaming, I won't be able to read all my books. So
I fear that. I have my PS5 is unplugged because if it's plugged in, I'll play games all day long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can't. Okay, I was prepping for a podcast, and the DLC for Go to Tsushima dropped, and I tweeted out, "Sorry, podcast prep. Japan needs me." I spent 12 hours playing the entire DLC. Just sat down and went through it. But anyway, back to Spider-Man. Spider-Man PS4 is the best Spider-Man story ever done. Out of all the movies, out of all the comic books, out of all the TV shows, Spider-Man on PS4 is the best Spider-Man story ever told.
So I remember hearing the hype for that on I follow people that post about video games and everybody was so pumped for that Spider-Man game. And from what I heard, it lived up to the hype.
Yeah. Yeah. It had gameplay mechanics, swinging around the city. I still play that game. Like I pulled it on my PS5 and I played it today. I was playing it before we started recording. It's so good. But then with the storyline, if you like Spider-Man stories, this is the absolute like if I rank Spider-Man stories, I rank the origin story, obviously. I rank Spider Island from the comic books, and or Venom Arc, and then I rank this game. Like top 3 Spider-Man stories. One of them is the PS4 game because it's so good.
That's rare for a video game. I mean, I've been out of the video game world for a while, so maybe that's changed. But
well, video games are weird because like God of War, for example, it's 80 hours long. Imagine any media besides a book where you can devote 80 hours or something.
Golly, that's a long time.
Yeah, but look at these books. Look at yourself. What book is 80 hours? Like 80 hours is a book story, like a movie can't do an 80-hour story. A TV show can do it in 80 hours, but it's in hour intervals. So for a game to tell it, and the people that God of War, there's never a cut. Even when it's unless you die, the screen never cuts. It's just one continuous long cut. Even when the loading screens are hidden to when you slide through a canvas, and so it just do that little transition, but the camera never cuts. So it's one. If you never die, it's a continuous story. So it's a continuous 80-hour story that is building. It's like you can't compete. Like video games are the future of telling stories because you can't compete with the time they have, and you're in the shoes of the character, so you feel the impact better.
Especially if you're playing like a VR or something, then it's like that. Which I haven't got to experience any VRs yet, but I can imagine that's just an absolute game changer. No pun intended.
I have. You ever hear of Star Wars Squadrons?
I've heard of it. Yeah, never played it.
I have that on VR when I bought a flight stick for it, and dude, being in an X-wing in the VR headset, looking around, and then like drifting and getting a pot shot off by a TIE fighter. It's awesome. It is. You feel like a Star Wars character. Like I am Poe or I am Luke, and I am just a badass right now. Like it's VR.
Or any of them.
Any of them. VR. It really is like when you're like they haven't done a lot of high big game story modes yet for VR. Besides, they did a Walking Dead one that was really good, and you actually had make choices in the game and decide who lives and dies, kind of thing. And there's some impact there because you see him, you're like, "This is my guy. He helped me survive." You face to face, and you get out like little zombie get him.
Right.
I was talking to my friend who played it. He's like, "Dude, the screen kept fogging up. Like, why? Like, I was crying."
I left my man behind.
Yeah. And so like the future of storytelling is going to be video games and VR only because you can't compete with the time and you can't compete with the way you feel as you are the character.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
if you're
it's gonna be
adding
insane.
another level to the experience, then you're not
Yeah.
going to be able to compete with that.
Yeah, it's the only reason I'm still like I probably wanted to stop playing games, and focus on everything else. But I love seeing epic stories, and I'm like gaming is getting to the point now where like if I had to rank my top 5 stories in the last 10 years, 4 of them are from video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's like God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man. These are some of the greatest Uncharted. These are some of the greatest stories ever told of the last 150 years, probably. And like, yeah, like you have to experience it. It's but the time also. You're like, I just like you finish the game like that was awesome. I spent 9 hours on this. I have a paper.
Oh yeah, and you like, I want to say physically, but you worked your way through it versus just sitting there and watching something on a screen or turning a page on a book. And I don't want to diminish the experience of reading a book because I get really into my fantasy stories. But when you're playing a video game, you're like, okay, I had to work to get here. I had to strategize. I had to fight. I had to think of on my feet. I had to do all those things. So you're more invested in it.
I can't remember who it was, but it was a comedian. He said, video games are the only form of media which quizzes you on your ability to enjoy the media.
No,
like if you're like no piece of art will stop halfway through. Go, what does this art mean? Oh nope, you can't finish it. Like no Lord of the Rings opens up halfway. Like, what does Sauron represent? You can't finish the story. Lord of video games are like, hey, you don't get this, you can't continue.
If you don't figure out the next portal, you're done.
It forces you to like, and that level, like if you want to see how it ends, you have to get engaged. You have to be good at the game. That encourages you to get engaged in the game. Which this engages up to story value. So like, if you want to finish the story, you have to get engaged in the game. And getting engaged in the game makes the story even better. And so it's the incentive structure of video games are built for optimal storytelling. And it's why I really can't wait for the Star Wars Fallen Order was a video game came out. A Star Wars one had the best Star Wars story out of any of the new Star Wars. Besides Rogue One and Mandalorian, had the best Star Wars story told.
Okay,
it was incredible. I keep feeling like I'm trying to get you to go back into video games and you have books to read, but
I know I'm like, well, got a little ways to go through. So I just started the Enterprise of Law yesterday. It's Bruce Benson, basically, how legal systems will work in a market. And that I tried reading it about a year ago and I was in the middle of 4 other books. So I was like, this is one I have to devote my full attention to. So I set it off the side. I finished up some other ones. So I was like, all right, I finished up the Anarchist Handbook like a couple weeks ago. So
nice.
Really, really liked that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm currently doing the hop-up months. I'm trying to work my way through the Marxist Garden Fair, getting libertarianism right, the economic ethics of private property, and then I'm also having So Bist Upon to talk about the betrayal of the American right, and so I'm trying to get that one done.
Okay, nice.
And so it's like trying to. I would say I started a podcast so I can read more books and encourage myself to read more books. I have a podcast coming up, but I keep scheduling podcasts in advance. I keep scheduling bigger and bigger books. Where it's like I got a podcast in 5 weeks. The book is a couple hundred pages. It's like do I have time to read that before? I might have scheduled that too close.
I've only read one Hoppe book. It's a theory of capitalism and socialism.
I'm doing a podcast on that one Thursday.
Okay, nice. Who are you having on?
The Bowtie Catholic. He's a guy from TikTok who does during Mises U, he did 60-second recaps of every day to loads of views. So he's like a really smart dude. Nice. And he had like a couple of 100 views, like TikTok people, not even libertarians, getting like Mises U recaps. So really smart
that's
dude.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm like super excited. I got Pete Quinones coming on that day to talk about atheism and libertarianism.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, so I was just talking to my brother about when Dave went on there and Pete asked Dave about, how do you feel about faith and libertarianism, and Dave Smith gave his spiel on it, and I don't feel like Pete really talked about his position, so I'm really excited to listen to that. Yeah, and you had Scott Horton on recently too, didn't you?
Yes, we talked about Star Wars, and that was, oh my god, was that exciting! I was like, there. It was so much fun.
I had to follow up Scott Horton. I saw you tweet that, and I'm like, oh my, how am I going to go in? You have to release my episode first, because people are going to watch Scott Horton and be like, Caleb, nah, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, it was a crazy one, because it's like, he'd be talking and he goes off on rants like Scott Owen does, and so he's
Oh, yeah.
ranting, and I'm just like, oh, I'm in this conversation. I have to say something.
This is my show. I need to assert dominance.
Like he'd stop talking, and I'd be like, wait a minute, I didn't pause it. It's waiting for me. Like it was a crazy. Yeah, it's September months, dude. I got Stefan Kinsella coming on. That's playing intellectual property, like I'm a 5-year-old.
Mhm.
And so that's gonna be a lot of fun. I got Jason Stapleton coming on, talking about his ebook. I don't know how, but I got like 2 post-libertarian guys, and I tagged all the other ones, and all like, so I'll come on. And it's like, okay, I could string that. I could talk to these people.
Dude, that's awesome. Do you think Clint would come on your show? Because I saw you asked him about interviewing and stuff, and he quote tweeted you. So
I would love to get him on, but I need a topic or a book.
Yeah,
You know, like
Clint's
I saw about.
awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I love watching his podcast. His owning of that neocon dude was incredible. Like,
I keep forgetting to go back and watch that one. I've never watched it.
It's good. It's good.
But Clint's somebody you feel like you want to be his friend, and he would like push you to be a better person. If you were like good friends with him, and he would like support you and everything. Like Clint just seems like an all around good dude.
One of my favorite photos of the internet this year was Olivia Bundal, whatever her name was, taking a selfie with someone, and he's in the background doing this.
Oh yeah, just like
yep.
I know which one you're talking about. So when you said your favorite photo, you said your favorite photo, I thought it was going to be the one on Tim Cass where he's like, the one that gets memed all the time.
That's a good one too. It's like when he's just in the Fed.
Yeah. Or it's a picture of what you see versus what she sees, and what you see is AOC, like doing the ponytail one, and and then it's his face on the other side.
I want to get him on, but I feel like I need a good book for him to talk about with, and I'm trying to look to him. I want to get him on for because he seems really into like banking and stuff because he worked with the money lending. I want to get him on for the Rothbard's history of the Fed. I think that'd be fun. Or for what's it called, business cycle too, by Murray Rothbard. Because he's the guy who could know that. So we'll get him on for that one. But I gotta finish this book still. And so it's like, and it won't be at least till October until I can finish this book. But I'm gonna try to get him on because he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, and I think he would. I don't know if he's done traveling right now, but I know he took a break for, I feel like, what, 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
From podcasting, he was traveling all around. But good for
him.
That
I hope he moves to Florida. I keep telling him like, hey man, best state of the union is Florida. And Polk County in Lakeland, because that's where I live, Polk County. And I say like, hey, Lakeland, it's a growing city. It's the fastest growing city in the country, I believe. And so if you want to, you could say Lakeland's going fast. And so like you could live on the outskirts of Lakeland and be super close to one of the growing cities and growing economies and all the new hipster stuff there. But you're still outskirts enough where you're actually in Florida and like country, So it's like I love where I'm at right now because I'm like perfect distance from Lakeland and perfect distance from everything else. Like I want to go to the coast. Perfect drive. I want to go to the city. I'm right there. I'm pinpoint away from everything, and so it's like, yes, I can go anywhere I want to in Florida. This is good. So
I don't have a problem saying this because Pete already announced it on another podcast. But he and I live in the same state now. He just moved to where I live. Not he's probably an hour and a half away from where I am. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's cool. I am so excited to talk to him. I'm also ridiculously nervous. Because we're talking about the atheist problem of libertarianism. I have quite a bit to say about that. But at the same time, it's like, this is peak notice. Like we're talking for at least, if you go for 30 minutes, I have to at least provide 10 minutes of content.
Yeah, and that's the producer of the Monopoly on Violence, like one of the coolest documentaries
I'm trying to get, anytime any of my friends are just like, man, I don't think the government has the best interest. And they don't say things like, I don't trust the government. I'm like, go watch this. It's on Amazon. Here's my login info.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's still on YouTube too, I think.
It is? Oh, I'm about to do that instead.
Yeah, because it dropped on YouTube first. But yeah, so I'm interested in what Pete has to say. I haven't really been active on Liberty Twitter for over a year. I've had a Twitter account since 2012. I was just never really active, and then I kind of caught back in, like, oh, I'm in the part of the Liberty movement. I've never really faced any I guess criticism, or you can't be part of the libertarian movement because you're a Christian or anything like that. So I'm not saying it's not out there. I've just never experienced it or really seen it firsthand. So I'll be interested. I'm really excited.
I had a dude tell me libertarians can't be Christians can't be libertarians, or libertarians can't be Christians because God's an authoritarian. And I'm just like, I don't want to engage with you. I just come and like, you're not worth my time. I'm not. I have, yeah. Some of these atheist types are really like. I wouldn't mind if they were like atheists like Rothbard was, who knew Rothbard when he writes about Lucifer or Calvin and what's it called? The history of school, not history of school, education, free and compulsory. He talks about compulsory education and the history of it, and he sums up Lucifer and Calvin's view of them super well and like respectively, but also like attacks them where they're wrong. He's respectful to it. And he understands Calvinism really well. You know, and when he writes about Thomas Aquinas, he's writing like a hardcore fan, which is cool for me because I love Thomas Aquinas. But so many of these new atheists are like Ayn Rand and Christopher Hitchens types, and you're just like, you're not saying anything besides like, "Oh, flying spaghetti monster, man."
Yes.
You're like, I'm not engaging with you because you're 12.
Yes, I know. And that's something, I don't know if you listened to the episode with Dave and Pete, but something Dave referenced was how much Jordan Peterson's really, and who's not a pronounced Christian or anything, I still don't think he is, but it's like, have some respect for the books. You don't just get to say, oh, that's a bunch of BS, I completely write it off. Who are you? You're just going to completely write off hundreds of years of history that's changed people's lives. Whether you don't believe it is one thing, but just say, no, I don't read it. I don't need to. Just completely disregard it.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like the Bible, like I have a problem with people who write off Christianity because one, the Bible is one of the most influential books ever made, and the Catholic Church built Western civilization. I mean, all modern forms of science, all seismology is still called the Jesuit science because it was created by Jesuit priests. Science was originally called natural theology because it was a study of God and everything. Because all science points to God, supposedly they say. And I agree with that. Like the guy who created the periodic table. Okay, this is my favorite story ever. He said God's universe is an ordered universe. Here's the periodic table. And like, hey, dude, you're missing a spot. He goes, yeah, I don't know what goes there. Yeah, but we're gonna discover something goes there. I have faith that God's universe is ordered, and this is the map, and it's gonna go right there when we find it. He found it. He didn't find it. So he found it, and they filled the gap in. Like he had so much faith in the ordered universe of God's creation that like this map is too perfect, and then it's getting to something right there, and it fit right in the column. Like you can write off faith while you want, but if you think universe has any order to it and isn't all pure chaos, then that guy's insight into the ordered universe, whether it's from faith or anything, is to be admired and respected and investigated. And just writing off all of this cultural history and the sciences and some of the best philosophers of our time come from the Christian tradition, and to write us all off as like spaghetti monster believers, and in some cases worse because they say we're all like incredibly racist or our religion makes us support slavery. Yes. And it's like, what? No, you don't. It's just, and there's so much work I have to do. Do you want to have this kind of conversation? There's so much work that goes into it. You're like, you're not worth the time. Because I can spend 5 hours explaining to you one thing for you to walk away in the same stupid opinion you had when you went in, or I could actually go read some more Aquinas. What's better use of my time?
Right. Yeah, I used to be really engaged in Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in every year. I don't plan on ever going back, but I would just about anything, libertarianism, Christianity, and I would be engaged, and I would always be, try to be as respectful as I can. I hate internet debating. I love sitting down with somebody I disagree with and talk. I love that. Is one of my favorite things to do. But arguing over the internet, it's just like, I'm not doing it for the person I'm arguing with. It's like, maybe whoever's watching this will be enlightened or, take something away from it. But I know I'm never changing the person's mind across from me.
Yeah. It's like, and I bet that's what people online, I did a podcast I did yesterday or 2 days ago, said, and people online get upset when they don't change the person's mind. It's like, realize no one changes their mind in an argument. When an argument ends, people either walk away angry or amicably, but no one says you were right. That happens days, maybe hours, maybe months later. So you need to be comfortable with either laying the groundwork or adding a straw to the camera's back. You might not be that final straw, and if you want to find a straw, ain't no one gonna tweet about how this guy had their mind saved by some guy on Twitter. No one's gonna tweet out, "Hey, at blah blah, you changed my mind. Congratulations, blah blah blah." I mean, I do that sometimes. I'm autistic as fuck, but it's like a different reason.
Well, and that's what all the conversations I had with like either ANCAPs or voluntarists or, minarchists, even as my transition from like 2015, 2016, 2017 on to where I am now. it was always the respectful ones and the ones that were polite and were just like, okay, what about this? And they just present a question and be like, I don't agree with that, but I don't know how to argue it. And so I start researching it on my own time. And it was, so I never think like being nasty towards someone is ever going to be helpful, because it was those ones that were respectful and just, hey, think about this, chew on that for a while. And those were the people that helped change my mind.
I'm not like that on Twitter. If I try to be, but if it's like an abortion debate, I kind of just like, and you know what? You're not gonna have their mind sayings on this, and if they're gonna like celebrate it, I think if they're gonna celebrate abortion, I get to make fun of them. I think that's somewhere in the Bible, 11th commandment, thou shalt make fun of borders or something. I don't know, but like this lady sees a new argument about abortion, and I was saying, it's wrong to kill an innocent life, and so he goes, well, I'm innocent. I need a kidney transplant, and I said, you sure it's not a brain transplant? So like, you need one, and she just went off on his like tangent, and it's like, what is this? Like, you want to argue science? Okay, when the sperm hits the egg, it forms the zygote at the beginning of human life. You want to argue philosophy? The potentiality doesn't change. The process of birth actualizes the potential of the fetus to go to the human form. How do you want to argue this? No, I'm a rapist because I wanted you not to kill a baby. I'm not engaging with you. If I could lay out these arguments and you're going to respond with rapist, it's like, okay. So I'm glad you won't ever pass your genes down to someone else. I guess it's not worth it.
There was I remember one conversation I got into on Facebook a while ago with somebody who was posting something that was pro-abortion, and I called him on it, and he was like, he went on this big long paragraph and he thought he had it, and I was like, my sister was born 2 months early. So because your standard is the baby is not fully developed at 9 months, since she was born early, does she not count? Was she not a human life till she was 9 months afterward? And he just deleted the entire post. He wouldn't even have any more of it to do.
Like, I guess some people are like, oh, the birth canal transforms human person to human. I'm like, C-section.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, they're not so sophisticated. I'm like, neither was a 90-year-old. Neither was a 4-year-old. Like, neither are you when you're drunk.
Well, it's like, they're not done developing. Okay, neither is a 19-year-old.
Yeah. It's like, this is my normal arguments. And I ask them, like, what determines when life is? Because any answer besides conception is flimsy. You can't have a solid answer besides conception. And that's the only consistent one. And anything after that, you kind of like it's I used to get really into abortion debates, and now I'm kind of just like, no. I'm if they support abortion, I said this today. It's like those who support abortions either have encouraged someone to get an abortion or have had an abortion. If they've done that, it's in their best interest not to have their mind changed for what they've done. And if that's their mindset, there's no changing their mind, because if I'm right, they murdered a baby. So why would they change their mind? So it's not worth me engaging with it anymore.
Yeah. It's I can be friends or acquaintances, whatever, with almost anybody who believes a lot of different things. Like, I have atheist friends, I have hard lefty friends, I have friends all over the place. I have a hard time. I have a hard time with the abortion one. As somebody who's like, that's a core belief of theirs and they will not budge on it. It's just that one's harder for me to get over with.
I can even respect someone like Walter Block or the evictionist people, because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to murder it if I don't have to. I'd rather just evict it from the property. Like, okay, I can respect that, but those who celebrate abortion, I don't want any engagement with those. It's like those, like, same with neocons who celebrate bombing or celebrate Yemen. Like, I don't want to associate with someone who celebrates deaths of any kind.
Yeah.
Like, that's just that energy. I don't want that anywhere near my, I don't want that, just stay social distance, 6 feet away. Wear a mask, just keep it separate. I don't want to engage. No, we've gone off topic on a lot of different ways. It's been a lot of fun. I want to have you back on again because it's been a lot of fun. Let's try to jump back and end up with Star Wars, so people could be like, "Well, they cut off and didn't talk about Star Wars anymore." Like, no, we did. We got to the end and talk more about Star Wars. You nerds. Palpatine coming back. What was your take on it? Were you supportive or against Palpatine's return and being the big bad guy in the end?
So I was, we kept hearing that JJ was going to tie in all 3 trilogies together before we got the news of Palpatine. So you're like, all right, how is he going to do this? And then Palpatine dropped, and I was like, I wanted to see him on screen, but I was like, how are they going to do this? It's probably going to be some cop out, and it kind of was. They never truly explained how he got back. It was just kind of like, the dark
Mandalorian's
side.
probably going to do it.
Oh, okay.
It's sadly, I don't want it done there. To be over.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the shows and the movies to have not like they're completely separate worlds, but like don't mix them too much.
If they get to do Snoke and Mandalorian, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah. I would be happy that Andy Serkis gets more Circus, however you say his last name, gets more screen time. But yeah,
you know who would have been better than Snoke? Swan. Have you ever read the Star Wars extended lore books, like the Swan trilogy?
No, that's on my list. There's a couple Star Wars books. They're so hit and miss for me because there's so many different authors, so you don't know which ones are good.
The Timothy Zahn ones, the Zahn trilogy, are absolutely solid. I recommend those. Those are fantastic books. And they introduced Swan and Rebels, and so it's like, okay, you've introduced a character. He exists. He wasn't killed off, and they didn't use him. My whole problem with Palpatine coming back into the series is that it takes away from Anakin's turn to the light side, and Luke's accomplishment was turning Darth Vader back into Anakin, and Anakin killing Palpatine, fulfilling the prophecy that was laid out in the first three movies. Like, that was a closed circuit, and the prophecy was fulfilled. Luke did his job and accomplished his goal. Palpatine's return taints all of that.
Yep.
And it's like, you can't take Anakin, who is the main character, I would say, who has the story told across 6 films and is fall from hero to villain to hero again, and taint that. You've tainted one of the, like, Darth Vader and Zuko from Avatar: Last Airbender had the greatest villain to hero stories, and you've tainted Darth Vader.
I know, and you have in the Force Awakens trailer, I will finish what you've started, and this, and it's like it's supposed to be a continuation of that, and it's like, no, we will reopen what you finished, not finish what you started.
And I would say if Kylo Ren was the one who killed Palpatine, then I could be like, oh, cool, he finished what he started. That's something there. But no, it's way. It's like, it's just the last thing on Last Trilogy. The fight scenes are so terrible. It's so, like, the suitouts are fun, the space scenes are fun. Whoever did the lightsaber combat, like, we finally see one versus many in the throne room scene of Last Jedi, and that guy's like, disappear.
Yes, it's like, just completely drops it, just completely,
because he can easily just stab over the back.
Yeah.
Like, at least Adam Driver's scenes in that fight scene are pretty good. Like, his fight scenes are cool shots, they're one take, they're from a distance. But the stuntmen for Daisy Ridley, who I like as a good actress, I think she's fine. They were very accommodating, and she didn't put a lot of effort in. And it was very, very poor. It was so poor. You watch it, you're just like, this isn't exciting.
And that was the first time slow motion was used in a Star Wars movie, wasn't it?
Yes. I just briefly, I was like, it's all about it. Yeah. It is the only time slow motion was used in a Star Wars film. Star Wars lightsaber duel.
The sequel trilogy was the first one to use slow motion, the first one to use flashbacks.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could say is close to slow motion is the Empire Strikes Back, when Luke and Vader are fighting in that vision scene, and then when Vader follows over, it's kind of slow.
But even then, that I would be like, that's a vision trance type, like that. Anyone who's gonna call that slow motion is really just trying to find a way. Like, well, no, actually, episode 5.
Yeah.
No, you're pushing your luck, nerd. Get in the locker. This is now again, episode 7, 8, and 9. There's so much there that take it by itself. Like Luke wanting to reject the Jedi, cool. Luke being very powerful, cool. Palpatine coming back, kind of cool. Like, all these individual threads are cool, but you put them together and it's like nothing pans out, nothing evens out, nothing connects. And it's like you pick a bunch of really cool concepts and try to force them all together at the same time. Like, I actually was hopeful at the end of episode 8, because I'm like, hey, it's not a prophecy. It's an actual nobody. This is gonna go against all the prophecy nonsense we've heard from the last 7 films and all the other media. Like it's and a nobody rising to that potential and being somebody. Like that, I like that. It finally broke the mold. And then they just like, no prophecy, nope, Donald Palpatine. It's like you set up an actual return to a good hero journey just to break it down again.
And then the beginning of the Rise of Skywalker, she's just like levitating in midair, like it's nothing. You're like, where did this come from?
It somewhat made sense for Luke because Luke was like the most powerful Jedi of all time, and he was doing a really like an never forcing force move kind of thing. But Yoda never levitated, and it was Yoda.
Yes, or Palpatine or Dooku or any of them. None of them levitated. And she just did it so effortlessly. Like Luke, when he's doing it, you see the beads of sweat. You see him just freaking.
Yeah, and that's it right there. It's like, okay, Rey is more powerful than Luke because Luke took all this energy and had to die, and she did it. And it's like, I shouldn't be able to see a new character out of nowhere become better than Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
I know we said we were going to shit on it, but it was so hard not to.
We broke that right away.
Yeah. Well, everybody, this has been a great episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Caleb, go ahead and plug your stuff. Where can people find you on Twitter?
I am at Vicarious System on Twitter, and that's really the only place I'm active. I'm not even super active on there. Throw out some Liberty tweets every now and then, but for the most part, just enjoying and really enjoyed being on here, man. And really appreciate you having me on, and hope to do it again sometime. Absolutely. On another topic we can agree on.
I gotta get you on for Avatar, and I gotta get you on for taking this shitting all over the Aragorn movie and comparing it to the books, because the books are. Anyone listening to this, if you haven't read Aragorn, if you like Star Wars or you like fantasy stuff, Aragorn is like the best of most. Yeah, and you should go read it because it's. Oh my god, is it good?
It's so good.
Even the sword, like when they describe the sword, like Brisingor, like even the magic words are like, you hear, they're like, yes, Brisingor means fire, is fire.
Makes sense. It's not like Harry Potter where it's just like a random word thrown together. Like it's a language and you're speaking it, and it's so cool.
Aragorn had the absolute best magic system I've ever seen. Like the way magic is done with the energy, the special language, the Haman's, the part where the twins are trying to ask Aragorn to answer questions in magic, by asking him to answer questions like a complicated way so we can learn more words from Aragorn, and he answers in the most basic ass ways. That is an awesome scene. That is so. It's just like the twins aren't even in the movies.
And there's limits on your power, so nobody can be overpowered. It's based on what you can physically do, and
you can carry like those. They have like jewels, like that's what it looks like Aragorn. The jewels can store magic, and so they have like the swords that have jewel hilts, so the belts have jewels. And it's like that looks cool. And if it was a movie, imagine that guy walks around with a giant jewel on his sword hilt, has a jewel bracelet. It's like, well, that looks just kind of flashy, and he like starts drawing magic out of it.
Yeah,
you know, and things having their true name, and like his sword's true to his Brisingor, so he says that the sword injects flames. Like, these are really cool lore, world-building details, and how magic works is incredible. And the movie is so bad.
I know. You just want to find whoever made it and just pat him on the back and be like, good job, buddy.
I want to hurt him. It's. I really hope. I really, really do hope. Christopher Paolini on Twitter the other day was trying to get Disney to pick up a Aragorn TV show. And it's like, if you make it with like a Mandalorian budget, yeah, do that. Break into the Disney wants to break into the fantasy world game like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. Aragorn. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Or Netflix
hopefully they do a good job with it.
I hope it happens. Yeah. Okay, everybody, this has been another episode of the Catholic Libertarian Movie Club / all forms of media today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I have to say it. It's YouTube law. Everyone have a good day.